Welcome to this bonus episode of Talk Commerce, where we explore how merchants, agencies, and developers experience commerce and the communities they live in. This week, we host a panel with Amazon Web Services and Wagento on how Wagento was successful in launching more than 200 stores on the AWS platform using Wagento. Kenny Rajan, AWS Senior Solutions Architect, runs us through the benefits of AWS and why you should host your Wagento store on the AWS platform. Brent walks us through the solution that was brought to Universal Music Group to help launch more than 200 Wagento stores and 300 different channels in a short amount of time. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to see the slides, you can find them on the website at talkcommerce.com. Cloud is a new normal for companies of any size. Buying, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of machines is expensive and complicated. Amazon Web Services, managed by eWay Corp, offers an easy-to-use, flexible, cost-effective solution to all your infrastructure needs. eWay Corp can provide a secure, reliable, scalable, high-performance network that will make your office hum, not literally. eWay Corp has saved its customers an average of 31% on their IT costs while adding 62% to the bottom line efficiency. To top that, their customers have seen 43% fewer security incidents. Go to ewaycorp.com to learn how you can start saving money and headaches by moving to the cloud. That's ewaycorp.com. Today, we're happy to present Amazon Web Services. Kenny is here. Kenny, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us what you do for Amazon, and maybe tell us one of your passions in life.
Sure thing. Hi, all. Thanks for joining, and we appreciate your time here. My name is Kenny Rajan. I'm based out of New York. Been with Amazon for 5 years exactly. I got my yellow badge, so I'm so happy. And I'm a senior solution architect for AWS, and I'm focused on strategic ISV accounts. One of the account I spend 80% of my time is Adobe. So I work directly with Adobe on the partnership opportunities, but I also work with partners like Wagento to help customers on tapping into Adobe Commerce products or digital experience products. So I'm here working with Adobe directly, working with partners who actually help us to take Adobe AWS products to the customers to help them to succeed in their business. So that's what I do. My passion is always reading books. You can find me, Kenny Anthony, in LinkedIn, and you will see I'm always reading something, certifying myself. So I enjoy reading and learning.
Great, thanks for that. And my name is Brent Peterson. I am a 5 times Magento Master, and now the program has been retired. So there will be only 5 years of Magento Masters. There is going to be Adobe Champions coming up, and I don't know if I'll be an Adobe champion or not. I am also an Adobe Insider, so I was invited to 2019 to be part of the Adobe Insider program at the Adobe Summit. I was invited again last year and this year, 2020 and 2021, as an Adobe Insider. I've been working on Magento since 2009. I started as one of their first unpaid moderators on their website. I asked so many questions and then learned so much that I could answer so many questions. And I was also a pretend developer for about 3 years on Magento. I then transitioned into Wagento, and I am currently the president of Wagento, which is an e-commerce company, funnily enough. And if you notice our name, Wagento, it's very similar to Magento. And that it kind of shows what we focus on. But today is not about us. It's about our clients and how we can work with AWS and Amazon Web Services. Madeline, can you go back to the agenda really quick? So today we are going to talk about the client, and in this case, the client involves 1,000 different clients under an umbrella. Why they went with AWS? We had some challenges. We came up with a great solution, a timeline that worked well for every one of those small clients. And then we came up with, I wouldn't say exactly a cookie cutter, but a model that worked on scale. And then we're going to just give some results of how that worked out. I think though we're going to start now with Kenny, and he has some background on AWS and some of the exciting things that are happening in the Adobe Commerce world, which we should now call it Adobe Commerce and not Magento Commerce. It's Magento open source, which also works fantastically well with AWS, and I would recommend anybody doing it on AWS. But so go, Kenny, I go ahead and tell us about AWS and some of what you're doing.
Sure thing. Thank you, Brent. Thanks. This is a great introduction. Once again, thanks for everyone who joined this call. It's evident that the customer experience is a key differentiator if you are an e-commerce or a retailer, right? So the pandemic has set a trend where customers are now focused more on online purchasing. So there are a few questions that you need to ask before you go for setting up an e-commerce application, right, that to help and enhance your business, right? As consumers shift to online, there are a few questions, important question. I'm going to talk about this important question and say why AWS in kind of an overview, right? But if you have any follow-up questions that I should be able to answer in the chat. So the questions are: is your e-commerce application website, built with the scalability and elasticity? Else, there is a lot of chance, right? The customers may lose interest. I mean, it is within seconds they will lose interest and move out of that particular product to a different product. So, are your team using a scalable and elastic environment to go global in minutes, scale up or down, right? Can your e-commerce application support omni-channel, orders? Is your IT team the most tricky part of e-commerce application? Is like as the customers, surge is coming and using the online purchase, and as they come in, you have to make sure, the infrastructure is scalable and automated. Rather your infrastructure team coming and spending the entire time on managing the infrastructure rather than innovating, right? So that's few things that you need to consider when managing the e-commerce application. We all witnessed and may have personally experienced the online ordering, what happened in the last few years. As we cannot go out, the purchasing towards the online trend was going up, and and that's when the e-commerce or retailers realized how to enhance the e-commerce experience for their customers. Customers choose AWS because, right, e-commerce is a global, most of the retailers go global, and they need a global outreach. So customers choose AWS because e-commerce companies today provide would need a global outreach, and they need infrastructure that they can tap into across the globe. AWS is the most experienced cloud provider. I'm going to talk about a small slide next. It's just coming up. Why we are the topmost provider in the cloud as of now, right? And there's a main reason we are unusually customer focused. But now let's talk about the region. So AWS is the most experienced provider, number one. And because of that most experience, we have 25 regions across the globe comprising of 81 availability zones, right? A region here is a physical location across the world. So you may have your customers in US, or you may have a customer in Europe. You may have a system that needs to be provisioned in Europe. So you have a regions, and you have a availability zone within a region, right? A physical location is Virginia. Within Virginia, 3 separate AZs, and AZs have discrete data centers. Availability zones, or AZ, is not where our servers sit or our infrastructure sit. AZs has a discrete data centers, 1 or 2. The reason why we actually spread this out with a low latency network with a redundant power, redundant network connection, is to make sure your system, when you do and deploy an e-commerce, you have that high availability, that if you want to tap into the high availability, you have high availability option for you to configure and set up. The availability zone, like I said, is separated by a meaningful physical distance. So let's say you have a couple of web servers that you want to put, and if you put them closer, the chances are, when there is kind of an unfortunate, failures, the entire rack goes down, or the power outage, or the climate issues, both of the servers can potentially go down. But if you have a low latency very low latency network, and then you have both servers separated with a meaningful distance, like up to 60 miles. So if something happens, again, your customer can still operate, your business can still operate on an e-commerce application, because you have web servers configured in a different availability zone. So that's one of the key, wherever you want to go global, and if you want to tap into the high availability, and the way that AWS infrastructure is designed helps customer to build e-commerce application that can enhance the experience, purchasing experience for the customer, right? Likewise, we have several families of Amazon Elastic Compute Services. So in other words, servers. Customer can pick and choose what servers they want. They don't have to worry about provisioning. They can global in minutes. So if there is kind of a promotional event, you can say, I need, you can plan out, I need 10 servers. You can just do a configuration to go up, and then automate it by saying that if my server utilization is less than 60%, I would just go down. So scale up and scale down whenever you want. That's another additional opportunity with AWS. You don't have to guess the infrastructure needs, and you just pay for what you use. If I turn off this power light, I don't have to pay, and if I turn on, I have to pay, right? So that's the benefits of going global, and using a cloud provider, and a most experienced cloud provider, which can help customers. And we have thousands of customers using AWS services, and helping in their businesses, right? And next is security is our number one focus for our customers. AWS have 50 plus security and compliance certification, and also we have security services that we offer, and for customers to basically use those security services and protect the environment from unauthorized access, or denial of service, or DDoS attacks. That's something that we offer in the security. And what happens, right, for a customer, you may have a data center. Now you want to basically move to a cloud infrastructure. Number one, you want to don't worry about the infrastructure. I'll focus on my business, right? So that's a focus. And your first step of business transformation is using compute, storage, and network services that we offer. And then as you get that process, agility, the speed and the high availability that you need, the next step of business transformation is for you to basically tap into the innovation. Certain companies may have their own scientists, or research and development department within that company, right? And some companies may have a scientist, and some companies may not have a scientist, or R&D development. So for all those purposes, AWS has a machine learning capabilities that you can tap into. We have broadest and deepest set of machine learning capabilities that you can tap into. So if you have an R&D department, they need an infrastructure, cloud infrastructure for your machine learning workloads, you can tap into that. But if you're looking for a fully managed AI, artificial intelligence services, for an example, you want to within few clicks, you want to basically integrate an Amazon personalized a machine learning service that Amazon.com use to recommend products for the customer, to enhance a product recommendation for your customers. It is available. You don't have to do anything. You have to go and select that service, couple of configuration. It is done. If you want cloud managed and machine learning managed a contact center, right, for customers, you can also use Amazon Connect and whatnot. Next is the analytics. We have broadest and deepest set of analytics tools that cloud native tools that you can set. You can bring data from your e-commerce application or a different application, understand what customer is doing with every click, and enhance and do an analytics on top of it. So there are much more that you can do outside the infrastructure. That's a primary reason customer have used AWS. And if you need more information on different customer use cases, you can go AWS, search for AWS customer case studies, compute, storage, and network, and find out more. Awesome. Next slide, please. Another reason, right? So every planning section, product planning session that we have within AWS revolves around customer discussion. So when we speak to you, we listen to you, and whatever we listen, we take that back, and our product features and roadmap are prioritized based on what customer wants, not what we want. We listen to you, we understand your needs, we take that, and that is our mantra, that is our key to success. We are unusually customer focused. So all the services that come, like whether it's a data warehousing solution or the different compute instances that we have, we listen to you and then we actually innovate. That is why I said there is no compression algorithm for experience. AWS has been a leader for 10th consecutive year in Magic Quadrant, Gartner's Magic Quadrant for the cloud infrastructure as service. And we feel that the primary reason for this is we are focused on customer, we are enhancing the infrastructure. Our infrastructure region is not just a physical location, but it has multiple availability zones, and within the zones we have data centers. Within that particular AZs, we have plethora of services. If you don't want to, if you're looking for a core services and outside core services like machine learning analytics, we have 175 plus services which can help you in different aspects to help enhance your journey. Next slide. So this is the reference architecture for deploying Adobe Commerce in a merchant managed or partner managed way, right? A more detailed version of this particular architecture, can be found, read. If you want more details on this, you can visit our AWS white papers website. We have much details how this architecture works, but on a high level in this architecture, Adobe Commerce is installed on Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute. You can say it is a virtual machine, right? Which is deployed on a highly configurable, highly available way, right? In the last slide, I talked about regions availability zone. So you see one web server and one availability zone, one web server and one availability zone, right? Which is actually distanced by like up to 60 miles, right? So if you see the red side white block goes, you still have the right side white block still there. Not only web servers, we are talking about the cache engine, search engine, and the database. Everything is redundant here based on this architecture, right? So your web servers are deployed on highly available zone. It is fronted by Varnish page cache to accelerate your web page speeds, like when you search. On the backend, we have 4 AWS services, mainly Amazon Aurora for MySQL, which is a distributed, fault-tolerant, and self-healing storage system. So you configure a database, you configure it in such a way it is fault-tolerant, right? It is distributed. If something happens, your business still continues because you already configured in a highly available environment. And then we have an Amazon Elastic Cache for Redis, right? Typically, it is a in-memory cache engine. When you need to have that experience for the customer, they should not see the slowness. You do all the ways that you can to enhance your architecture to have a better customer experience. So here is an Elastic Cache for Redis that this architecture provides, and it is basically helps you with frequently queried database queries, right? It will cache it and provide that information to you. And then we have Amazon Elasticsearch to cost effectively manage at scale. As of version 2.4, Adobe Commerce requires Elasticsearch to be a catalog search engine when you are deploying this architecture. So that's something that you want to know. Amazon supports it, up to this date, and you can still configure it in highly available way. Lastly, we have Amazon Elastic File System. So you have a website, you have pictures that you want to store, the medias that you want to store. It is a highly available network file system where you can store the pictures, and it is redundantly copied based on how you configure the system. The Adobe Commerce team has also introduced Amazon S3, another storage mechanism, right? In replacing a network file system with a blob storage, which is most cost effective for customer. Also, as of 2.4.2, you can directly put your media files in S3 and store your media files there. So these are the important architecture that customer uses, and you have the high availability what e-commerce application needs to give the best customer experience when customers are in the website. Although all these 4 components can be directly configured on Adobe Commerce instances, but using AWS services reduces the management scope. Example, Amazon Aurora, it's a fully managed service, and you don't have to worry about upgrades, OS patches, etc. Right? It reduces the management scope for the merchant, and adding scalability and modularity benefits as you configure the system in AWS. And there is an automatic backups. So your infrastructure management scope is reduced, and your team can focus more on innovation. You can enhance the customer experience. Now, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brent to talk more on how Universal Music Group have used similar architecture, and how they are using Amazon, and how the Adobe Commerce is helping that business. Over to you, Brent.
Great, thanks. Thanks for that background, and that is a fantastic explanation of all the different pieces, a very small part of the pieces that Amazon offers us as solutions for our clients that will deliver great websites. Today, I wanted to talk about Universal Music and some of the things that we did for them on Adobe Commerce. At the time, it was Magento Commerce, but how we deployed over 200 stores and had a system in place that allowed for flexibility, customization, high volume, quick turnaround. It was multi-country, multi-language, multi-region, using all these tools from Amazon that really helped us leverage those aspects to make a successful site launch. Next slide, Madeline. So the challenge was that Amazon or Universal Music has thousands of artists. They have about 1,000 artist stores, and each of those stores, each of those artists has an artist manager that would dictate what they wanted for a specific artist. So you have one client, but you really have 1,000 clients. Each of those stores wanted to be customized. Most of the time, they had a Drupal site or a site built on a CMS system, or we had to match the look and feel of the Magento store. Sometimes it diverged from that. Um, they also had a quick timeline. So there wasn't a 3 months or 6 month ramp up period. It was usually 2 weeks, 4 weeks where we wanted to get that store live and get it live quickly. As I said, each theme was unique. And then in addition to that, there was often times where changes happened every single day. And if you are in the development world, you know you don't want to do deployments during the day. However, if you do have somebody that has a lot of sway and they say this has got to go live right now, Amazon, using Amazon pipelines, helped us to launch and deploy code quickly, efficiently, with almost zero downtime. Now, and remember, we started this in 2017 when Magento 2 was only a couple of years old. It's matured a lot since 2017, but the tools that we use on top of Amazon allowed us to deploy and sometimes have zero downtime. If there was a database update, we would have maybe 30 seconds of downtime. It also allowed us for reversing if we had to do a rollback. Next slide, Madeline. So as I said, every store needed to be launched in 14 to 45 days. If you are in the development world and you are developing on top of Magento, you realize that there is some challenge in this, and that challenge encompasses a lot of customization on the front end, a lot of customization in the back end. So using both the tools that we built in-house, but mainly the tools that we built on top of Amazon, we were able to meet those requirements of a quick launch, while still giving that customization that couldn't have been met with another platform. Having, some platforms would give you some of the tools that we wanted, but all the different aspects that we brought in from all over the different parts of the community and Magento and different services were brought in and then customized inside of our Magento application. And then we were able to deploy those front end stores quickly. And as I go through some of these slides, we'll see what was encompassed and entailed in that. Next slide, Madeline. The scalability and timeline for on top of AWS, specifically allowing for regions and scalability, allowed us to both have a smaller store that would have maybe a couple thousand visitors a day, to a large store that would have tens and tens of thousands of visitors a day, to high volume, high impact stores that would have 40 or 50,000 visitors a minute. So using all the tools that we had in front of us from Amazon, we were able to use auto scaling as a mechanism to help us scale across regions and zones, and then allow for high traffic coming to those stores, delivering at the same rate of response time from the servers themselves. And this allowed us for not only the ability to scale on demand, but automatically scale when we weren't quite sure when something was going to happen. So, for example, if we were told that on a Friday we might get 4,000 visitors, and so we developed some of we got the infrastructure ready, and maybe we warmed up some of that infrastructure to be ready for that scale. But suddenly we got 40,000. Amazon was able to keep up with that traffic without collapsing, and help that user interactivity on the websites maintain that consistent feel, look, and response time that clients expect of that store. Madeline, next slide. Going on with the with the multiple regions, this not only allowed us to launch stores in the United States, but then launch stores in Germany, Canada, France, Australia, across any region that Amazon had in their portfolio. And I think, Kenny, I think you said there's something like 80 different regions now represented.
It is 25 regions, and
okay.
within that 25 regions, we have 81 availability zones.
Okay, so 25 regions, 81 availability zones, which meant that we could be close to every one of those customers as possible to deliver the highest impact for speed and usability for all those sites. Madeline, next slide. I mentioned that we reuse some code, and we reuse the backend 99% of the time. And we did this by using the tools that Magento gave us in terms of Composer and how we built out particular components on top of Composer. And if you were to think of it in sort of a puzzle, we could bring in and build specific features on the back end of Magento using all of our different libraries, and then attach a front end to the Magento store and launch that. So 99% of the time we're launching a store that had the same fulfillment center, the same payment gateway, the same connections to Salesforce and things like that. But the front end always had to be different. So this allowed us to build this sort of model that allowed for a number of different services. Not all stores required all the services, and we built out about 170 different back-end integration models that would be put together at the time of production and then launched. This also meant that we could easily launch a custom store that had a lot of custom features in it and use those custom features over and over again. So we learned from that was that Amazon allowed us to take some of those features, put them together, put them into a pipeline, launch them, and have that store live and ready within minutes. And I think Kenny mentioned earlier that a lot of times nowadays that clients want something done in minutes. And as fast as you can spin up a server and get it live, that's as fast as it's going to take to launch a store. It might take a few more minutes to actually spin up a whole server, but the idea here is that you want to have something up and running and you can check it and make sure it's working and then have it live for all of our customers. And in the slide here, I'm showing the Sound of Vinyl site, which was one of our earlier sites that we built for Amazon or for Universal Music. And that allowed for a large variety of vinyl records to be sold, but also allowed for us to attach a digital download along with those records. So there was really a multiple faceted solution that gave really great results for the end user. And in this case, the end user was Universal Music or one of their artists for Universal Music. Madeline, next slide. The flare, the cookie cutter flare or custom flare, as I said, didn't just stop at the back end. So we did reuse some of the front end components, and Adobe Commerce offers out of the box the functionality of multi-currency, multi-language, and multi-warehouse inventory systems. In this case, the best part about Magento is if you do want to launch in a region where it might not have that language pack is probably available and done by the community. So early on, Magento was adopted in the German, the doc community. A lot of those languages are available across every country in the world, and they make specific language packs for specific countries. Like Mexico has a different Spanish than Spain has a different Spanish. So we're able to take all those different pieces and put them into this for the front end user experience and give a broad reach to different areas, different people, and different countries. And in this case, we could also offer different currencies, including euro, dollar, UK pound, Australian dollar, all those different stores could, all those different languages and currencies could be done in one instance of Magento. I should back up and say that we did not, this was not done as a multiple instance Magento store. So if you know how Magento works, it does work on, you can run multiple stores on an instance. We would only do that particular brand in that instance. This also gave us the ability to scale up and scale down based on need of that particular store. The complexity in that happened with AWS in terms of we need to have a separate instance for a specific store. It's not a shared instance for all Magento stores. If we did do a shared instance for all Magento stores, we're looking at sort of more of a SaaS or a PaaS-based model where we could then have one big Amazon infrastructure layout, and in that layout we could have one big instance of Magento. We did not do that. Part of it was just for scalability reasons. Part of it was for usability reasons. In the back end of this particular solution, we put in an order management system called MOM, Magento Order Management. And that management system then tied together all of these stores. And at the end of the day, we did end up building about 300 channels for sales. And that included both the web stores, but also multiple language and regions as well. Madeline, next slide. So what was the result of that? The result was that we did end up launching 200 stores. And we did that in about 12 months. So if you have developed on Magento, you know that that is a challenge in itself on doing that. We were able to build out this infrastructure on top of AWS, Amazon Web Services. And in this case, we won the award in 2019 for best sales channel growth for a merchant. So over as I said, 300 channels, but 200 stores built on top of Amazon Web Services and Magento Commerce. And I think, Madeline, is that, I think that's the end of the slide deck. We can go to some questions. Oh, I forgot about this. All right. So in-person events, and then we'll go to questions. And this one is directed right to Gary Smith. So drink beer, talk AWS. We are doing an in-person event at Lodonia Cerveceria here in Minneapolis on July 29th. And we are welcoming anybody for a non-sales pitch beer tasting event that would, and then you would have the opportunity to talk about Magento or Amazon. And we're excited to have in person in Minneapolis. All right, so if there's any questions, let's get those out in the open now. And you can put those questions in the chat box.
QA box.
QA box, sorry, QA box. And Kenny, maybe you have a question.
No, it's good.
Kenny, what has been the largest volume of clients that you've, or largest volume of concurrent users you've managed on an AWS Magento store?
I don't have that information, but if you go on the public references and look for MyDress based on Hong Kong, you know, some of, you know, we have, I think, couple of more case studies around that. So it's the largest website. So you should be able to see, you know, based on how famous this business are, potentially a large hundreds and thousands of customers, hitting the website. And one of the from the scalability point, Amazon.com operates on AWS, e-commerce retailer, right? So it uses AWS, so that's the best example. And Magento is one of our Adobe Commerce is our partner, and we have reference architectures around that. So customers who are willing to give a public reference have actually mentioned what the scalability can do for them, elasticity can do for them, right? So there are a few customers who also actually go beyond this infrastructure requirements. They tap into the higher level innovations. Like I said, Amazon.com uses Amazon Personalize and a service, artificial intelligence service offered by Amazon Web Services. So you can tap into those services with a couple of, or a few clicks. You can install those personalized AI, artificial intelligence along with your website. So it will enhance other products. So customer who bought this also bought this. Are you interested to, buy these products? I have bought a lot of products in Amazon.com based on my personalized search. So if you are looking for machine learning that goes along with Magento, or contact center, right? So you want to basically answer customer, where is your orders? And you want to tap into the Magento information. So whatnot, there are different ways that you can actually use Amazon.
Yeah, there's a question from Lauren. Lauren is asking, can we launch Magento Commerce or Adobe Commerce on top of AWS?
Yes. Adobe Commerce reference architecture is there. So if you need if you type AWS, maybe I'll put it in the chat, the architecture, the white paper, you can reference that how it is done on AWS. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to Wagento. They've been doing this for Universal Music, and it's since they have automated it, that's what I heard from Brent during this discussion. It will be a quick installation for you. Yes, it is done on AWS.
Question from Joe about slowness. He says sometimes the slowness is blamed on the host. What's some tools we can use to diagnose some slowness in a website?
A couple of ways to answer this question. If you see the architecture diagram, right, for your frequently accessed database queries, you have a cache, elastic cache, right? You don't have to hit the database again and again to pull that queries when there are concurrent users. You can cache them and give to the users. The second is the CDN, right, content delivery management. If you see the architecture, what Brent has showed you, or in the architecture what we have showed you, Magento Adobe Commerce comes up with a Varnish, a page cache engine. So it basically accelerates the speed of your website. The third is the number of users. Let's say you have a configuration which is done for 1,000 users, and all of a sudden there is a promotion, something happens, you see like 40,000 users come in. There are architectures like auto scaling. What happens at the back end is basically understands, okay, my CPU utilization, my memory utilization is set to be 40% or 50% here. When it reaches more than that, let me go and configure additional 2 servers to help with the workloads that you're getting, additional workloads. The different way you can architect outside what you can do within your Magento or Adobe Commerce website, and how you configure that. But from the infrastructure, it is automated. There is an automatic alarm that you can trigger based on the page, the workloads that you see in the Adobe side. plus the architectures like caches, both on databases as well as on the web servers, are going to help you with the speed of your websites.
A message here from Jerry, or I'm sorry, a question about protecting ourselves from attacks like DDoS. How does Amazon help us on that?
Couple of ways, right? So they are going to target your web servers, right? So the front-end web servers. So if you see the architecture, what Brent has showed, he has a CloudFront. CloudFront is basically comes up with kind of a protection for DDoS. You can actually go and configure an additional service like a web application firewall that Amazon provides, or AWS Shields, which can basically, give you that protection. So all of a sudden you see kind of your website being exploded by, the DDoS attacks. The web application firewall, you can actually make configuration to see, hey, I don't want, I want these, configure in the way that this region has its best priority, etc. Then the shield will also give you an additional options for you to, provide you the infrastructure when the DDoS attacks are there. It also comes up with some machine learning to understand what are the different, ways that traffic comes in, and if it understands, so this is going to be, not the right traffic from the customer, you can configure, or the shield will protect you from those DDoS attacks. So like I said, 50 plus compliance certification. Outside those security certification, we have plethora of security services that you can actually use from AWS to configure and protect you from DDoS attacks.
Great, Kenny. I appreciate that. That's a good. Any other questions out there? A question from Joe in Minneapolis. What's the best place that a developer can get started and learn on how to deploy a basic system?
So there are, from the Magento side, I'll give you a couple of, tips around there. Currently, we have an older version of Magento Quick Start available. Brent talked about automating the deployment. So what we use is a service called CloudFormation. We actually configure the system, and you say, I need to deploy a couple of servers, a database. We put that parameters and click deploy. At the back end, our code basically deploys the web servers for you, and it does the installation files, installation.sh, whatever configuration that needs to be done, and provide you that Magento website. So I'll give you that the link. So that's the best way. Basically, you can actually go to the quick start. Even though it is an older version, it provides you an opportunity to deploy and see how AWS console works. If you're talking of outside Magento, there are, if you go and search for AWS certifications, that provides you the list of things that you can do to basically tap into the certification. There are some free tier accounts that you can actually use as small instances. You can launch it and try to, develop a small website, or even you can use Amazon Web in S3 object store, where you can host your static website that you develop. There are multiple ways, but the first stop, if you're learning how AWS services work, click on AWS certifications and find out AWS Solution Architects, AWS Developer Certificates, which can help you.
And Kenny, as I remember, that there are some free instances of EC2s that you can use for a short time. Is that still the case?
If you go and create an AWS console, it gives you a free tier options for some of the services. But I would say, as a customer or as a user, you just read out those free tier information, and the what is eligible and what is not, and within the limits. Good thing though, when I started to learn AWS, I used free trial. Amazon, like I said, they come up with like, I work for their company, but that time when I was learning, I don't want to basically get a $1 million bill, right? So something I did not know. So the first thing I learned is to set my billing alarm. So I just said, I said to the council, my account, if my bill goes more than $1, alert me in my system, right? So you can create that billing alarms, use that free tier. Usually, you'll be able to quickly play around to, learn few services with that free tier. But if not, if it is not a free tier, you'll also get that information. When you create an account, go and explore that cost explorer or the Amazon billing, set up the budget if you're worried about how my bill is going to be high, and then it's going to alert you if it is going to go high. And you can also remediate if unwanted servers are there. There are services that you can sniff around, right, and say, hey, there is a server there and I need to shut it down, right? So the multiple ways, but best way to start is AWS certifications.
Great, thank you for that. And I'll just note that there are pre-built solutions as well, and Bitnami and things like that. If you wanted to just spin one up and try it, you'll have to probably pay for those, but there are pre-built solutions out there that can be spun up quickly on Amazon as an example in trying it out. And as another note, about a year ago, or a little more, I did spin up an AWS micro server with Magento PWA Studio, and I got it to load in less than 2 seconds. And I think that was on the free tier. So you can get sites running quickly. I didn't put any load on it, but it was the free tier, and it is. I'll just say it was quite easy to get things running. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I think it's been a good nearly an hour. Thank you, Kenny, for joining today, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Madeline, for moderating. And again, we have an event coming up on July 29th in Minneapolis at La Cerveceria La Doña. And as another note, we are planning an unconference in Orlando, Florida on January 21st, 2022 in person, along with an Adobe hackathon. Why wouldn't anybody not want to go to Orlando, Florida in the wintertime and have the opportunity to visit Disney World? Can you think of any other reason, Kenny?
Am I invited?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're have so much fun.
Yep.
Good. All right. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Cloud is a new normal for companies of any size. Buying, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of machines is expensive and complicated. Amazon Web Services, managed by eWay Corp, offers an easy-to-use, flexible, cost-effective solution to all your infrastructure needs. eWay Corp can provide a secure, reliable, scalable, high-performance network that will make your office hum, not literally. eWay Corp has saved its customers an average of 31% on their IT costs while adding 62% to the bottom line efficiency. To top that, their customers have seen 43% fewer security incidents. Go to ewaycorp.com to learn how you can start saving money and headaches by moving to the cloud. That's EWAYCORP.com.